Welcome back to Close Up. As a reporter, the bios you get from elected officials can lay out quite the list of distinguished credentials, but the writing rarely grabs your attention. But when you read the opening line for former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper's bio, it definitely piques your interest. A laid-off geologist who started a brew pub. That long-ago laid-off geologist is here with us today. Governor Hickenlooper, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So that's quite the career arc, going from that many years ago, I'm sure, to owning a brew pub, and now you're here in New Hampshire meeting voters. Let's cut to the chase, though. How soon will you know whether or not you're running for president?
I am determined to we've been working on this and talking to people, my wife and I, discussing it. I'm determined to make sure, in the next month, or let's say 6 weeks, quickly. I mean, our goal has always been sometime before the end of March.
And how did you get from there to here? How does a laid-off geologist make it to New Hampshire?
It's funny. I never ran for student council or class president. I grew up with this. I had thick, like the bottom of Coke bottles, thick glasses, and I had acne, and I had this funny last name. I was a skinny kid. I was the last person anybody would have ever thought to run for office. But the miracle of LASIK surgery, and I came out to Colorado as a geologist, and the price of commodities all fell apart, so that our company got sold, everyone got laid off, and I couldn't find a job. I was out of work for a couple of years. And you see, when you're out of work for, 6 or 8 months, you begin to see a different person in the mirror. You look in the mirror and you see someone who you don't recognize. You don't have the same confidence. Anyway, I ended up, like a lot of Americans, I reinvented myself. I opened this restaurant that brewed its own beer. And, first 3 or 4 years, hard. But then it kind of took off, and we opened other brew pubs around mostly the Midwest. And somehow, fast forward, 2003, there was an open mayor's seat. So the mayor of Denver was retiring. It's a strong mayor form of government, very competitive race. And all my customers convinced me that I should be the one that should run, even though I had never been involved in anything to do with politics. And the notion was, I would bring the common sense of small business back into politics. I understood running a restaurant, what service is all about. And
you wrote that into 2 terms in the governor's office. I'm curious, here in New Hampshire, the legislature is exploring the idea of legalizing cannabis. Having overseen that process as governor in Colorado, what's your advice?
So I was against it when it was first an initiative. I looked at, I was worried about a spike in teenage consumption, and the high THC marijuana that they have now everybody tells me that if your brain is rapidly growing, it can take a sliver of your long-term memory every time you use it. So I looked at it from that point of view, and I thought, that's not so good. And driving while high, there were just all these fears. No one had ever done it before. We were going to be in conflict with the federal government. But now we're about 5 years into it, and those fears haven't happened. We haven't seen a spike in teenage consumption. We haven't seen a spike in any consumption except senior citizens. I'll let you figure that out for yourself. And we haven't seen a giant increase in driving while high or more traffic fatalities. So I think I look at it now, and again, I think each state should make up their own mind. I think the federal government should allow states that choose to legalize it. They should allow them to have banking, which we don't have in Colorado. They should allow them to, not the federal laws that make it a felony, sometimes make it a felony offense to have marijuana involved in a crime. Those should get changed. But I do think in Colorado that we wouldn't go back. And after the election, I always said if I had a magic wand and could have reversed that vote, I would have. Now I wouldn't. I'd put that wand back in the drawer and just say, all right, let's keep going with this and see. I mean, the old system was awful. Think about the number of kids, especially low-income African-American kids, Latino kids, that we sent them, not only sent them to prison, we made them felons. We made the rest of their lives unimaginably more difficult. For what real purpose? What did we win in the war on drugs? Not much.
From one green to another, what's your perspective on the Green New Deal?
Well, I think I haven't read the whole thing, but again, I've got a master's in geology. I think I'm the only governor in the history of the country that actually was a professional practicing geologist. I think climate change is real, and I think we've got to address it now, and in dramatic, impactful ways. That there are so many biofeedbacks that could, once they get going, like the permafrost melting, there's a whole ton of methane, they believe, trapped in the frozen tundra in northern Canada. If that stuff all goes into the atmosphere, then everything just starts making a very bad situation even worse. I think it's not too late. I think in Colorado, we were able to bring the oil and gas industry together with the environmental community. And in the end, 14 months of hard negotiation, but the oil and gas industry was willing to look at, and they enacted a set of regulations that they visit every single pipe and pump and tank each year. They spent $60 million that first year, but it was the equivalent of removing 320,000 automobiles from our roads every year. And we got to do stuff like that in real time, like now.
I've heard you had a rule as governor that the name Trump couldn't come up in a meeting because you felt it would derail everything and people would start a parallel conversation.
It's a waste of 30, 40 minutes.
But if you are going to run for president, chances are at some point, and you're successful, you're going to have to take him on directly. Can an approach like that, kind of just ignore him, can that work if you're going to take him on?
Well, it's not a question of I wouldn't ignore him. I mean, obviously, he's going to have a nickname for me, and then I get to say, oh, that's a terrible nickname. I never heard that before. All I heard on the playground was Poop and Scooper and Chicken Cooper. I mean, there's no nickname. The bottom line is he really hasn't done very much. I mean, he gave a huge tax cut that really very few people got to take advantage of, and that many are going to have to pay for, right? Mainly our kids and our grandkids. I look at the disarray of the world, of all the tariffs and our relationships with our closest allies. NATO has been told basically they don't matter for anything. I would love to just, I'm not going to attack, and if he's going to start going crazy on me, I'm going to make fun of it. I'm going to make jokes about it because it's kind of funny. That's what you do with a bully, right? When I grew up, if you got a name like Hickenlooper and you're a skinny kid with thick glasses, you learn how to deal with bullies. And you don't punch them back. You kind of repeat what they say, but you twist it a little bit so that the other kids on the playground kind of laugh, and the bully doesn't know whether they're laughing at me or laughing at the bully. I think that's, he hasn't done anything.
Well, certainly it's a unique style that you've got. You won in 2010 and 2014, two of the worst years for Democrats. Yeah. How did that work? How did you survive in such a toxic environment for Democrats?
Well, again, I am a Democrat. My grandparents were all Republicans, but my mom was widowed twice before she was 40. So my dad died when I was 8. And she thought government maybe should be smaller, but she thought we had to believe in government. And she raised 4 Democrats. And I'm a Democrat that believes in small business. I think that we're not going to solve anything if we don't have a strong economy, and we need small businesses to make that happen. But that we've got to come together and work together to address our problems. And I think government is a way to do that, is a convener that can help take on climate change or Ebola, or I mean, look at healthcare. How do we stop the inflation every year? Whether you're on a private exchange or whether you've got your own independent coverage, or maybe you have no coverage, the cost goes up every year. That's something we all have to come together. We all have a shared necessity to resolve these issues.
All right, Governor Hickenlooper, we'll see you back here soon.
You bet. Thank you.
Appreciate it.